Hey everybody. So you asked for some new bag closures. I've been doing a lot of these button snaps lately, but specifically you asked for some magnetic bag closures. So in this video, this is just a sample that I'm going to make up for you. We're going to do this cool integrated magnetic snap closure. So this is a magnet set. Buckle Guy sells them. They're 25mm magnets in metal shells. You'll see one side is sort of a brass plate, one side silver. That just denotes the polarity. And I'm going to show you how to do this cool magnetic snap. This would be the flap, this would be the body. And I'm going to show you two ways to do it. We're also going to use some of these cool metal cutting dies that you can actually use without a press. So let's get to cutting and we'll get started. I'm going to start out, this is going to be our sample piece here. So one part will be our body and one part will be our flap simulated. Now these are going to be a bit thicker leather. I like these to be 5-ounce-ish. We're going to line one of them. You want it to be thick enough to have a little bit of body, but at the same time you don't want to be too thick because we're going to be kind of wet molding. Not really wet molding, but we're going to be molding some other leather. Now I'm using a contrasting color for the magnet piece. This leather is going to be like a 2-3 ounce leather. You want this to be fairly thin, and we'll wrap this around the magnet. To create our circular shapes, we're going to use these. This is just a set of circular cutting dies that I got on Amazon. They're really cheap. They're not very high quality, but they do the trick. I'll try to find them and leave a link in the description if I can. But this should be like 20 bucks or so. So the first cutting die we need to pick out is the one that we're going to use to punch a hole in our flap and our body piece. Now this one is going to be a little bit bigger than our magnet so that there's room for the leather to push through. The next one we're going to use is a little less specific, but we need to pick one. I'll probably go around here. And this one's going to be used to cut out the leather that we wrap our magnet with. Now you don't actually need a press to use these cutting dies. I'm just going to use a small 2x4 scrap and my maul. That's all you need. However, if you do have a press, I'll show you how that works in these two. So we'll just pop this in the press. These are 1-inch dies, so I've adjusted my press accordingly. Super light touch, and these cut. And I will use our simulated body leather here to do the smaller hole. We'll do one in the body and one in the flap. And just a light touch is all it takes on these. Now this is what our magnet will sit in on our piece that we're making. If you don't have the dies, another way you can do it, you can just use a pair of calipers. You're going to want to use the back side here. Trace a circle. Cut that out. You can use a coat template like this one from Buckle Guy. And an awl. And just trace that out. And then grab your blade and cut it. We're going to do two different versions of this. The first one we're going to do is just going to be a front cover, and then we will line the whole back like you were using like on a flap of a bag or something like that. The next one, we're going to sandwich our other magnet in between two pieces of leather, and we'll just sew this on so that we have just a little patch. That's if you're using thicker leather that you don't plan to line. We'll do one of each. The first thing we need to do is we need to get some glue on two of our discs. The other thing I'm going to do is I am going to put glue on the magnets themselves because we're going to stick them to the leather. Now, all magnets are different, so figure out how you want yours situated and then glue the corresponding signs correctly. So we'll get those as centered as possible. Then one of them, we are going to glue a back onto. Now the one that we're going to glue the back onto is this one. And I'll give you my reasoning behind this. So these are curved, so these have like a curve on top, and I want that curve to fit nicely through what is going to be our simulated flap here. So this one we'll glue in and we'll do a lining. Before we do any gluing, we're going to take this simulated flap and body panel that we have here, and we're going to lay our stitch line. If you want to do any burnishing or edge painting of that inside seam, you'll do that now as well. Now that we're gluing, I'm going to make my little sandwich piece first here, both sides. And the front side that's going to show on the outside of the bag, I'm going to make sure that my magnet is pushed up, because essentially that's going to be the part that pops through right there like that. So we're going to use bone folder, or I have this lovely wooden tool that I'm using just to press that down, and the glue will take care of the rest. Now on this piece, this is the one we're going to glue a backing to. So I've just done a little bit of glue here, and I'm going to center that as best I can. I'm going to stick it down like that, and then use my shaping tool here to kind of glue everything down and get it nice looking. And we will glue this up, and we'll glue this up, and we'll glue everything in so that we'll eventually have a nice, easy closing sample. All right, we're going to go in and glue this down first. So this will be essentially the flap. And I'm just using the same leather on the, would be the inside. We'll trim this out. And then on this one, I'm going to do my best to center this. I'll flip it over. There we go. So now let's punch these out and get to sewing them. To stitch these up, we're going to want to use a 2-prong stitching chisel. I'm using the Corter signature stitching chisels that Buckle Guy produces. And you can use like a 5mm. I'm going to use the 3.85. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around and just lay out my stitch line. Now, if you have the correct over stitch wheel, you could use that to lay out stitches as well. But I do not. So this works just fine. Then once I have all my stitches laid out, I'm just going to go through and punch them 2 at a time. And I'm going to do this on both the fully lined piece and the partially lined piece. I can use my current favorite Dunmore thread. This is Tech 92. And here we go. So we have our flap here with the lined inside. Nothing's perfect, but I just figured I'd show you how to do it. The interior here, it is not lined, but has the sort of the sandwich. So this would be sort of the inside of a bag, and this I kind of cut a little thing in it so you can see it's the outside. And you can see these magnets are plenty strong, so you would open up your bag, and then it just kind of automatically closes. It's nice, seamless installation, and the cool thing is when you do it this way, you can use thicker leather for the body, but the closure you can use thinner leather. You can skive this down, so you're reducing the amount of material between the 2 magnets, and you get a much stronger hold. That's why I really like this closure. And that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for requesting this. I really love this style closure. I've done it on and off for years. It was always really popular in the Japanese leather craft that I followed. So it's nice to be able to teach it, and I look forward to seeing what you guys make, and I'll see you in the next one.